Today we're going to take a look at taking an Epson chip and affixing it to a refillable ink chip cartridge. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this chip. So I'm going to grab a pair of snips, and you could use a pair of nail clippers or a small pair of scissors, and I'm just going to snip off that little plastic nub there. Now what that allows me to do is to take my razor blade, and you could use a small screwdriver, and just pry up the microchip ever so gently. And now you can see that it'll slide right off the cart. So we're going to set the cart off to the side and set the microchip down. All right, so what we need to do is attach our chip to the cartridge. Now what we're looking for here, as you can see in this example, is a nice flush chip right on the front of the cartridge. Now to do that, all we need to do is first remove the actual holder from the cartridge. And we do that by pulling down on the ink chip holder. Now that we have the ink chip holder removed, you can see right here on the actual very bottom front of this chip, there's a little nub, and that's going to get in the way of our chip. So we need to cut that off with a pair of snips. You could use a pair of nail clippers or even a pair of small scissors. Now that we've got that removed, we'll be able to put our microchip on there. Now the other thing I like to do is very carefully bend the nubs out of our way for sliding the chip into the holder. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do now is attach our chip. And we start by just lining it right on that nub. And then I'm going to hold it with my finger and just kind of gently push down onto the cart. Now it'll slide down right between those two plastic little nubs. And you can use a little bit of a firm pressure. You don't want to apply too much pressure though and break anything. But now, if you look at it, you can see we've got a nice flush chip here. Now all we need to do is take this and reattach it to our cartridge. Now it's got a little clip on the bottom. You just line that up, push right up, and now we've got ourselves a cartridge that's ready to rock and roll with the chip on the front of it. All right, so some examples of what you're not looking for would be this chip here, which, as you can see, the front nub has not been completely cut off, and that causes the chip not to sit flush. So when you go to insert that in the printer, it's going to catch. Another example would be one of the side nubs being bent under the chip, and that will cause it to not sit flush as well, and it will cause it to catch when you go to insert it in the printer. So always look and make sure you have a nice flush chip on the front of your cartridge. That's going to go into the printer nice and smoothly.